All right, guys, so we've already done the basics of inequalities. Now we're talking about solving two-step inequalities. And this is our 8th lesson, so L8. Okay, make sure you have your title written down. All right, so the first step here, just like in any two-step equation, let's pretend like the inequality sign isn't there. Let's pretend like it's an equal sign. And the first step would be to combine our like terms by subtracting 4 from both sides. So if we pretended like that was an equal sign, we just solve it like a normal two-step equation. So we're left with 3x, bring down your sign, and 16 minus 4 is 12. So now we divide by 3 on both sides, and let's inspect this. Is this a negative? No, we're not dividing or multiplying by a negative, so the sign, the greater than or equal to sign stays the same, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now let's graph this. We've got 4, 5, 6, we've got 3 and 2, and we have an open or closed dot. Think about that. Does it include 4? If it does, then it's a solid dot. So that is anything that is less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. Okay, and here it's anything that's greater than or less than, right? So yes, it is a closed dot because it includes 4 because it's equal to 4. And then it's anything greater than 4, so it goes in this direction. Okay, let's look at this one. 5 plus 4x is less than 33. The first step is to subtract 5 on both sides, and we're left with 4x is less than 28. Now we divide by 4 on both sides, and we're left with 28 divided by 4, because we're dividing by 4 on both. X is less than 7. So we've got our number line here, and x is going to be less than 7. It doesn't include 7, so open dot and to the left. Okay, let's look at this one. Here we've got 7 minus 2x is greater than 11. So for this one, I'm going to take 7 away from both sides, and I'm left with negative 2x is greater than 4. Now I'm going to divide by a negative 2 on both sides. What do you know when we divide by a negative or we multiply by a negative? What do we know we have to do? We have to reverse the sign. So we're going to change the sign from a greater than to a less than. So we get x is less than negative 2. Okay, so we've got our number line here, and we're going to start at negative 2. We're going to have an open dot because it is not an equal to, and x is less than negative 2, so going in this direction. Remember to reverse the sign when it's only when it's dividing and multiplying by a negative. Other than that, it stays the same sign. Okay, here we're going to add 5 first to both sides. We're left with x divided by 2 is less than a negative 3. We're going to multiply because this is x divided by 2. We multiply by 2 on both sides. X is less than negative 6. So in this case, we didn't multiply by a negative, so it stays. So let's graph this. Open dot because it's not equal to and it's less than negative 6, so it goes this way. Okay, let's try this one. We've got 8 on this side, so we want to take 8 away from both sides. That means we're left with a negative x divided by 3, which is less than or equal to 1. Okay, I want the x to be positive, so if I multiply by 3, that's the first step, but it's got to be a get rid of this negative, negative 3. So now we're multiplying by a negative, so we've got to, and I always draw this arrow for myself so I remember what I did here, change your sign. The negative 3 cancels out with that 3 in the negative, and 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, so I'm left with x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay, so on our number line here, we are going to have a closed dot because that is equal to negative 3, and it includes everything -3 and then greater than. So we're going in this direction. Okay? All right, you try this one for me. Go ahead and pause the video and go for this one on your own. Remember, only flip the sign when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this one, so make sure that you have tried it on your own. Add 7 to both sides. You're left with 5x is greater than or equal to 50. Divide by 5 on both sides. The sign stays the same. And we're left with x is greater than or equal to 10. Okay, so on our number line, we are going to have a solid dot because it's equal to, and then x is greater, so it goes this direction. Okay, so let's look at a couple word problems. We'll try one together, and then you can try one on your own. Halfway through the bowling league season, Stuart has 34 strikes. He averages 2 strikes per game. Write and solve an inequality to find out how many games it'll take for Stuart to have at least 61 strikes, the league record. So he's trying to make that league record. Okay, so he has 34 strikes to start with, and in addition to that, he gets 2 strikes per game. And we want to know at what point he's going to have at least 61. So this number needs to be bigger than 61, right? So if we think back to that first day, we wrote down this inequalities box, okay? And in it, we see is at least, is this greater than or equal to sign. So we want to make sure that we put the underline, the equal to part, in this greater than sign. Because he can have 61 strikes, but he can also have more than 61 strikes. So this right here is the writing portion of the equation. Now we have to solve it, and you will have to do this on the test. So make sure that you take good notes. So now we're going to take 34 away from both sides, and we're left with 2g is greater than or equal to, and if we take 61 minus 34, we get 27. Okay, so now we've got to divide by 2 on both sides, and it's not a negative, so the sign stays the same, and 27 divided by 2 is going to give us a fractional number. So 13.5 games. So after his, it'll take him 13.5 games in order to get to that record. Make sure that you have a label, games. Okay, let's try this enterprise question. Go ahead and pause the video, try it on your own. It's really important that you know how to solve the inequality, but it's also important that you know how to write it. So the first step is to write the inequality and then to solve it. Okay, pause the video. In 5 seconds, I'm going to count down and I'm going to show you it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here it is. Okay, so here's our equation. First thing that we need to know is that the rental car company charges $45 plus this 20 cents per mile to rent a car. Mr. Voss does not want to spend more than $100. So if we go back and we look at that table, oops, sorry, just kidding. We look at that table, that was me and Justin, and we look here, no more than, is this less than or equal to sign? So that's why we look at this sign right here. So take 45 away from both sides, and we're left with 20 cents per mile is less than or equal to 55. And if we take, what happened there? And we divide by the 20 cents, 55 divided by 0.2 gives us the miles that we need, which is 275 miles. Okay, I don't know what keeps happening here. My airliner's doing something crazy. There we go. Okay, and that's all I've got for you today, so I will see you next time.